Hi there, I'm TC. I am the creator of the Running from Fibro page. First of all, I will start for those of you who don't know what fibro is. The term is fibromyalgia. It is a neurological condition that is signified by widespread pain through the body. It can be kind of a throbbing pain, it can be a burning, a stabbing, sharp shooting pains, and this happens through your entire body without warning. It can hit other parts of your body harder, just like with me, it seems to be my hands and feet are hit the hardest. So there will be times when I'm having a flare that I cannot use my hands at all. I have to have help getting dressed or eating. As ridiculous as it sounds, yes, that is truly the case. And especially having a hard time walking. That coupled with the chronic fatigue syndrome that I experience with fibromyalgia, I've had to have help getting dressed and even going to the restroom. It's this illness is kind of embarrassing. I'll be the first to throw it out there, because you need help doing things that you would normally do yourself, and it takes away a lot of your power. Things that you used to be able to do before, you can't do now, and more so the burden that you feel that you put on other people. I have great support from my kids and my husband, and that has been incredible. Beyond them, I don't really have much help. So if you are one of those people like me where you don't have much of a support system, not many people who quite understand what you're going through, I'm glad that you found my page, because if anything, I completely understand and hope to be here to support and help you. Maybe give you a few pointers along the way if I can. Okay, so I'll start off with my story and what kind of took me to this point. So I've had fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome since I started having symptoms in October of 2009, after I had just started a new job, a job that I loved, doing accounting work. And that is basically sitting at a desk all day, doing a lot of typing, computer work, getting up, go to the copy fax machine, going to a couple different departments. Really not labor-intensive stuff whatsoever, and fibro took that job from me. I was no longer able to do that. I couldn't sit for long periods of time. My hands would close up on me, so that I could not type, I could not do hardly anything, and I was having hypoglycemia attacks at work. And yeah, it's kind of a scary thing when your coworkers think that you're going to hit the floor. So unfortunately, I had to stop that. You had to stop working, and not only did I have to stop working, I had to kind of stop my life, or rather, it was stopped for me. This disease has taken, well, not really a disease, they won't call it a disease, because they don't know what causes it yet. And unfortunately, what that also means is that they don't have anything to really help with it yet. So anyway, this illness has taken so much from me. I'm not kidding when I say that the first 2.5 years that I had this illness, I was bedridden. I was not able to get up out of bed whatsoever. I had to have my husband bring me food and eat in bed, and that was if I was able to eat at all. Laying on the couch a lot, just kind of doing nothing except hurting, and a lot of tears. Yeah, a lot of tears. And unfortunately, that's the kind of thing that you have to go through, and your kids have to watch. And that was probably the most heartbreaking thing. Even now, even though I've gotten a lot better in my illness, I still have flares, and still have to tell my children, I'm sorry, you can't touch mommy right now, I'm hurting too much. And my 6-year-old, she takes it so hard, she starts crying, and it breaks my heart. So this illness has caused a lot of damage. But I'll tell you what it has also done for me. You know, they always say that you don't know your strength until you're really tested, until you're put through hell, and then you find out how strong you are. And I've kind of known for a long time, being that I don't have the best childhood background, I always knew that I had to be mentally tough, but never as much before this. So yeah, it's given me a lot more toughness, a lot more confidence in myself, knowing my limits and what I can handle. And that, I guess I'm grateful for that. It has also helped me go towards veganism. I know a lot of people hear that word and they're like, oh yeah, those crazy vegans, whatever. and it's not like that at all. I went vegetarian for ethical reasons, and eventually transitioned to veganism. But I will admit, at first, when you're just thinking of yourself and not really the reasons behind veganism, like the true animal rights and whatnot, and, you know, being concerned about their welfare instead of, you know, all the things that you're missing out on eating, it was hard in the beginning for me. But probably after about 6 months of being vegan, I noticed that my symptoms for my fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, they were waning, and just gradually, more and more, I was having less pain, less symptoms. And I'm talking, I had a lot of symptoms. You can put all of them out on the table that people experience with fibro, and I had a good 90% of them. I'm talking vision problems, balance problems, cognitive problems, which I still do have. My favorite is when I am having a bad day and nothing comes out of my mouth the way that I want it to. And people find it funny. I slur my words. They come out backwards. I'll say a sentence and, you know, the words will be mixed up in the sentence. And yeah, I guess from an onlooker standpoint of view, it is kind of funny, but it hurts. It hurts. I used to be what I consider to be a pretty intelligent person, and I had a 4.0 GPA in college until I got sick, and then it slowly kept dropping because you have to read things like 5 or 6 times slowly before it'll kick in and you'll understand. It's like having a learning disability. I say, you know, I'm not the most up to date on, you know, what exactly dyslexia entails, but from what I hear, it sounds a lot the same, at least in the reading aspect. So balance issues, cognitive issues, the hypoglycemia that I mentioned, the pain. One of the weirdest ones that I've only come across maybe 1 or 2 other people that said that they've had the same issue is I actually get spasms in my larynx. So in my throat, it'll only last a couple of minutes, but you'll get these really bad muscle spasms and it is impossible to breathe. That, I think, is the only time that this illness has been scary. Let's see, so yeah, there's inflammation in the joints. Even though they say it's not an inflammatory illness, you still have inflammation issues. I'll have numbness and tingling. The worst is when I have numbness in my tongue and in my lips. And again, also makes it difficult to speak, get made fun of a little. Hey, that's all right. At this point, I think you have to have a little bit of a sense of humor about it. But in the beginning, it's definitely nothing humorous. So, yeah, everything was pretty much taken from me. I went from very active to not being able to do anything, except from my point of view, being a burden on everyone else. It got to the point where I completely understood why a couple of Dr. Kevorkian's patients were suffering from fibromyalgia. Unfortunately, your mind does go through that when you're faced with such severe pain day in and day out, and you have no idea when it's going to end. And I'm glad that I toughed it out, though, because with going vegan, such unexpected side effect that my pain would lessen, and I'm forever grateful. I don't know. There's not much else I can go to really explain how happy that's made me, because it's changed my life in so many positive ways. Before I did get sick, I was wanting to train for a 5K. So the reason being, and this wasn't probably not the best reason, but I ran a little bit during my workouts, just, as something cardio, a way to, take off a little bit of weight. And I hated it. I hated it so bad. Running sucked. And don't get me wrong, some days it still does. So I decided I wanted to do a 5K, because every time that I got to probably about the 2.5 mile point in my workouts, I would just be dragging butt so bad. And I'm like, I'm never going to make it past 3 miles. I'm never going to increase my time. I just feel dead. Like, I'm not going to make it. So I had set that goal for myself that I wanted to do a 5K, just, to kind of prove to myself that I could. And then I got sick, thought it would never happen. Okay, so fast forward a couple years, I start feeling a ton better. I still have pain every day, don't get me wrong. Just some days are really not as bad as other days. So what I like to say is we have bad days, and then we have really bad days. So just on my bad days, I'm still up, I'm still moving around, trying not to take it too far, because then I can put myself into a flare. But I still try and get up and work out, and I started running again. So after my 4th child, yes, mom of 4 here, woohoo, I love my babies. So after my 4th child was born 19 months ago now, I decided that I was going to do it. I was finally going to get back into it. I was finally going to start running again, and I was going to run a 5K. So 1 month postpartum, C-section postpartum, mind you, I decided I was going to get on the treadmill. I'm going to do this. You just get it in your mind. Okay, I have to get on this. I'm itching to go. It wasn't a smart idea. So I did get 2 miles in. That was cool. But I figured it's probably safe to wait another month. So I did. Then I started again, had no problems. Just kept working at it. Every time I was like, oh, this sucks. Okay, next time, push myself to do it. Okay, this still sucks. 3rd time, okay, this sucks a little less. So my body's getting used to it. I'm getting a little bit better. So I was 4 months postpartum. Sorry, there. See, speech thing. I was 4 months postpartum by C-section that I ran my first 5K. And it took me 45 minutes and some seconds. Not a good time at all. But you know what? I did it. And I hurt pretty bad afterward. Probably should have done a little bit more training, but I can't even describe the feeling. It was an incredible feeling. Despite all odds, I did this. And really had no plans beyond a 5K, but then I hooked up with a group called Moms Run This Town, and I found the most incredible supportive ladies. And ones that I could kick their butts for planting such ideas in my head, to do these great distances. But as much as I say I want to kick their butts, I just want to grab them in a great big hug instead, because I've been able to do such incredible feats because of these ideas that they've planted. Things that they never thought that they could do, and then they ended up doing. So I said, you know what? Okay. There's a reason that God lets me dream this big. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try for these things. So I did my 5K, and then on a whim, I'd been building up my mileage, but hadn't really planned for a 10K, and then a new one started this past year. And so I think 3 days before the race, I found out about it, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And I did. It wasn't the most fun experience at the time, but definitely memorable. I completed a 10K, and it pushed the momentum forward even so much more. So then I said, okay, where to from here? Yep, okay, half marathon, natural progression. So I trained, and I trained hard over the summer to do that. And this past September, I ran my first half marathon. I did the Detroit Women's Half on Belle Isle, and it was an amazing experience, especially having so many of my girls from Moms Run This Town with me, and all of us supporting each other really helped me through that. And even though I developed a severe IT band issue injury during the race about mile 9, man, that mile 9, it took a lot of us out. We had a strong headwind that day that was definitely not helping. So I developed the injury, and I still finished. And it's just one of those things, you just have to keep going, don't stop. And so then after that, it was probably 2 hours after the race ended, I made it home, and I said, okay, I'm gonna look up full marathons. And then I stopped for a second and said, what is wrong with me? I have fibromyalgia, and I'm looking up full marathons? Really? 26.2 miles. Is that really a good idea? Well, good idea or not, here we go. June 27th, 2015. I'm hitting Charlevoix, Michigan for my first full marathon. And I've already registered for that months ago. I already have my my hotel set up, and yeah, I haven't even run that yet, and I signed up for a 50K in September. So we've got our work cut out for us there. It'll definitely be interesting. It'll be fun, and sometimes I'm sure it'll be hell, but like my husband said one night when he told me how proud he is of me with all my running, and he said, it's like fibro has taken so much from you, and you're determined to not let it get the best of you. He said it's like you're stealing back every second that this illness has taken from you. Damn right I am. This is my year, and I'm glad to be sharing it with you. Thanks for listening.